how big of a deal is this for the Big 12? Because the Big 12's doing business, and I got to tell you, the press release is nothing short of scintillating that we got from the Big 12 today, and I think it is absolutely everything that you want. And the deal, if you did not hear it, the Big 12 has partnered with PayPal and Venmo to distribute funds to its athletes in this new era of college sports. The Big 12 is going to use PayPal and Venmo to pay its players. And it is a multi-million-dollar deal for Brett Yormark and the Big 12. And where I come down on this, it's sensational. It's spectacular. It's everything you want to be doing. And it's why, again, I tell you, Brett Yormark is the best commissioner in all of college sports this side of Greg Sankey. There is just no way to argue that everything having to do with the business of college athletics, Brett Yormark is dominating it. International play, international reach, branding deals, marketing deals, entertainment events and venues, you name it, Brett Yormark has absolutely done it. But Jake, does this deal with PayPal and Venmo usurp the importance of winning games on the field for the Big 12?
No, I mean, I don't think it changes anything in terms of the conference and the outlook of the conference on the football field. I do think that this is the kind of innovation and creativity that conferences need to be, coming up with paying players. I mean, the idea that you said to yourself, okay, we have a house settlement coming in 14 months, and we need to come up with a partner on this to distribute that money to our student athletes. I think it's brilliant. And I got to be honest with you, before I ever heard Brett Yormark talk about this, the first thing that came to my mind was, hey, Venmo is on every 20-something's phone. Like, every young person uses Venmo in the day-to-day. They send money to their friends. They use it to buy things. Like, Venmo is a bridge to a lot of different things for young people. So to me, this makes perfect sense, but it doesn't change anything as far as the football field is concerned. I do think that it could really help you if you're winning conferences and winning a lot of games and going to the CFP. Like, that partnership and helping push that partnership forward is obviously going to be really important. So I just think that this was a really good deal. It was nice that the Big 12 came up with this and sort of championed it. Like, it would have been easy for them to just sit on the sideline and not really do anything. So I think they deserve a lot of credit for the creativity and the forward thinking, because again, Brett Yormark has talked all about how they worked with PayPal and they've been trying to find a way to fit PayPal into the ecosystem, and this is how they did it. So I think it's an absolute win. I think it's really nice to see leadership in college football doing something outside of the box, and we'll see how it works out.
Well, and I think the other part of this is the Big 10 and the Big 12 jointly released this statement, and PayPal and Venmo jointly released this statement in conjunction with the Big 12 and the Big 10. The Big 12 and the Big 10 are in business together, which is unbelievable. And I know I tell you all the time here on the show, I would never tell you I told you so. But how many times am I going to say these conference commissioners talk to each other on a regular basis? I think this is nothing short of a stroke of genius. I think young people, old people, we use Venmo on a regular basis. Hell, we're talking about it today on the show. I never even put that together with the advocates, right? Like, it's here. It's easy. It's what young people use. And now the Big 12 and the Big 10 are going to disperse their payments to their athletes through PayPal and Venmo. They're going to allow them to buy tickets. They're going to allow you to buy tickets, concessions. Like, PayPal and Venmo are now going to be the official payment partner in all venues in the Big 12 and the Big 10. It makes an incredible amount of sense. And I think it is nothing short of sensational coming from the Big 12.
Yeah, and I think you listen to Brett Yormark talk about this, and there's a lot of passion there. He obviously cares about it. The Big 12 obviously is trying to push this forward and work with it and be creative and I guess be a conference that that athletes want to be a part of, because I think it's easy to just be like, oh, well, it's the Big 12. Of course they'd want to be in the Big 12. But I don't think it's that easy of an assumption. I don't think, that's the right way to be going about it. And I think deals like this that I would call like, yes, this is a huge deal that the Big 12 and the Big 10 and PayPal have come together to do this, but this isn't like, hey, OG, like just a sponsor is paying to be seen on a football game kind of deal. This is very much like a, outside of the box, no one really saw this coming type deal.
Yeah.
And that to me, I think is exciting. And I think when you look at the commissioners in college football, and you compare and contrast them, listening to Brett Yormark, you get this sense of like, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. And this guy, clearly is educated, prepared, like looking for ways to make his conference money. So I just think it just struck me as, hey, you were looking for opportunities, trying to figure something out, and you were able to put this together.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I don't know how you spin this into anything negative for the Big 12. And I think that it is exactly what this new world of college football and college sports across the board and the money that it takes to move, you needed a payment option. I don't think you can just do here's your check or hey, here's your direct deposit. I think you needed a partnership because this is going to offset that cost.
Certainly.
And I think when you look at what the Big 12 is doing, I mean, obviously my opinion is that the conference is going to have a mediocre football year. I think BYU is going to backslide. I mean, we don't even know what's going to happen with Jake Rzoff yet. We've talked all about the Baylors and the TCUs and the Texas Techs. I think Utah is going to have a really strong, return, but is that a 10, 11, 12 return? Probably not. Right. So can Arizona State do what they did with Scatabo without him? Probably not. Like, I think there's a lot of unknowns in this conference, yet they're still making money and they're still doing deals. And in my opinion, this offsets that. And then you listen to Brett Yormark talk about what this deal means. I think you can see he's quite enthusiastic about it.
Over the last 14 months, we've been on an incredible journey with PayPal, trying to find out where they could enter the ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And with RevShare and how ubiquitous PayPal and Venmo are on campuses and in collegiate athletics lives of our student athletes, it made incredible sense to have them partner with us as we pay our student athletes. When you think about PayPal and Venmo, the first and second most popular mobile payment apps in the U.S. There's 400 million customers globally when you think of consumers and merchants. So it just made so much sense given how they already infuse campus life. I was given a number the other day. There's 19.8 million student athletes across the country, and almost half currently use Venmo. And we needed a platform and a partner that was safe and reliable. And we found it with PayPal and Venmo. And Alex, I want to thank you and your entire team for all your hard work and for being on this journey with us. And it's a great day today for the Big 12, our student athletes, our campuses, the families of our student athletes. So thank you so much.
And it's not accidental. He made that announcement on CNBC. Like, you want to do business, go to where business people are operating. And I think when you look at Brett Yormark talking to people, I think it is very interesting that he did this on CNBC. Mm-hmm. It's a national platform. It puts him in front of people that are there only to talk about money. Like, the whole thing is just an unequivocal win for Brett Yormark in the Big 12.
Yeah, and I think it's smart. Like, I think having those stats, like if you think about like 19 million student athletes, like that's not a number you typically hear most people throwing around. Like, you don't. When's the last time you heard a talking head bring up the fact that there's almost 20 million student athletes? And you're sitting here talking about a platform that's on most of their phones already. Like, it just makes sense. And I don't mean to wax on about it, but I saw this and I felt like listen, we're in the slow time of the sports here as far as these conferences are concerned. And obviously deals like this don't get done during the football season, but it's just nice to see something other than, hey, we've got NIL issues. The house is burning down. The conference sucks. Who's getting fired? Like, I just felt like it was nice to see a positive story in a win. And I think the only other question that remains with this is just how it's used in practical terms in the real world, because you can't tell me that because there's all this talk going on about like how these different conferences are going to not only pay their student athletes, but what the contracts look like.
Yeah.
And like, there's all this sort of smoke around that. And I think, it's great to do this deal. My personal, interest in it though, is how does it get used in the real world? They will pay them through this. Yes. But is there a student athlete, just as an example, that would say, well, maybe, I want to get paid this way or that way? Is that a negotiating piece that schools will end up having to deal with? Or, is it just, Venmo's cool and I'll just transfer to my bank account and that's fine? Like, those are the things that interest me as we move through this.
Well, but isn't that why the other component is, okay, well, I just got my money from the school in my Venmo account. But that's why all across campuses, they're going to have the ability to pay for things with Venmo. Bookstores, tickets, groceries, health and human services, like all across campuses. In the Big 12, the main payment system will now be PayPal and Venmo. It's brilliant because you're putting money in their Venmo account and you're telling them, spend it on our campus. Easy to do that. Spend it on our campus. That's what you're saying. And you look at the what was the other thing that they were promoting today? The Venmo MasterCard.
Mm-hmm.
All these kids, all the student athletes get a Venmo MasterCard now. So you don't even have to have it on your phone, or you can put it in your virtual wallet. Like it's so easy, man. I don't know. I don't mean to wax on and just knee pad Brett Yormark, but this deal makes too much sense.
Yes.
It makes too much sense. It's so easy. And then again, I think one of the biggest things here is now you're in business with PayPal, Venmo, and the Big Ten, because the Big Ten's doing the exact same thing.
And
I
how
think
much
it
do you
is.
think that matters though? Like, because
I think it's really big.
Obviously, the Big Ten and the SEC have this alliance, and now obviously this would be like the first time the Big Ten has done business with another conference recently. So I mean, and we've heard that the Big Ten and the SEC have been, negotiating, if you want to call it that. So I just think it'll be interesting to see how negotiating terms and vibes between the SEC and the Big Ten continue to trend forward. The last thing the SEC and the Big Ten want, I would guess, is for things to sour between the two. But the reality is these two conferences don't have a choice but to do business with the other conferences. So it'll be interesting to see how they find that balance.
Well, and again, I think you look at this Big Ten SEC schism over 5-11 or what format or all this stuff about strength of schedule being in the hammer in the college football playoff qualification.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now the Big Ten just announced a massive deal with the Big 12. But let's be honest, that's not because of what's going on with the college football playoff. This has been, what did Yormark just say there, 18 months in the making? I mean, this is not something that just happened in the last month. But I think what it says is that Tony Petitti and Brett Yormark have a good relationship. As we've told you, Brett Yormark routinely talks to Tony Petitti, Jim Phillips, Greg Sankey.
Yeah.
They all talk on a regular basis. And I think it's one of those things where this is just another indicator that the Big 12, and again, I'm going to continue to beat this drum. The Big 12 is not doing everything it can do to win every snap or rep in football.
Mm-hmm.
They are not. I think there are a few schools in this conference, BYU being one of them, obviously Joey and Texas Tech being another of them. I would say Utah being one of those, but there are very few schools in this conference doing every single thing they can do to win every single rep. And then there's everybody else who I just don't think is. And I'll sit here again and say, what's the brand on the field? What's the biggest brand in the SEC, Georgia or Alabama? What's the biggest brand in the Big Ten? Not close, Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest brand in the ACC? Florida State or Clemson. What's the biggest brand in the Mountain West? Boise State. Like, we can play this game until you get to the Big 12. What's the biggest brand in the Big 12?
Right now, probably Arizona State, honestly, after their success last year.
Well, if that's the case, you're in more trouble than I thought.
Well, what were you going to say?
I think it's probably in recent times, Utah. They've had the most success in recent times, right? I mean, with back-to-back Rose Bowls, and sure, Arizona State went to the college football playoff. Maybe it's Arizona State, right? But I know who it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Houston. It's not Oak State. It's not Baylor.
UCF.
It's not UCF. It's not BYU. It's not Cincinnati, right? Like, there's no big dog. And that's still the singular biggest issue. It's great that Brett Yormark I think he's dominating the business side of this. Breaking up basketball and football into different units. Sales, they have completely different sales operations than you do with basketball and football. They're totally separate. Like, you have totally different things happening, and yet we don't have a brand in the conference for football.
Right.
We obviously, basketball is totally different. Kansas and Houston, those are the two biggest brands in college basketball in this conference. And maybe in recent times, Houston is the biggest brand in college basketball, right? I mean, just a dominant performance. But look what you're getting out of not even the SEC. Look what you're getting out of the Big Ten last year. A resurgent year in basketball. My belief is the ACC will be back, but how do you recover from losing Cooper Flagg? Right? So you have all these questions. And yet the Big 12 doesn't have a football brand. It's a little scary to me. And I don't mean to be redundant. I'm not trying to, poo-poo any of this big news today, because this is a big deal. A very big deal. You got to win football games. And again, we look at the issues in this conference. I am telling you, this Jake Rzoff problem at BYU, that as we told you when it happened, we're probably not going to hear about it again until we get to fall camp, and maybe Jake is there and maybe he's not. I don't know. I have no idea. No idea what's happening with that, because nobody in Provo is talking about it. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. Freedom USA 1982. Utes are going to get their ass kicked in 25. Utah is zero talent. Okay. We're going to have this kind of show again today. Utah is zero talent. Tell me you know absolutely nothing about football. And you gave us $5, and you're a BYU fan. Probably should have known that. BYU is going to crush the Utes this year. Might want to find a quarterback first. And you might want to find a defensive line who can get to the quarterback for Utah as well, because Utah's got easily a top 5 offensive line unit. Now, I know they don't have any talent on that team, but Utah's got one of the best offensive lines in the country. They've got the best right tackle in the country, and Spencer Fano. Let's not do this BS where we're like, oh, BYU's the greatest thing ever and Utah sucks ass. And I appreciate you giving me $5. Why are you texting me during the show? Jake is texting me during the show. You're fired.
No.
Let's not do this whole thing where Utah sucks. If your opinion truly is that Utah has no talent, I invite you to find the door, because you just don't fit here. And then there's Sal Capone, who's been a member of the show for 9 months. Hello, Sal. Good to see you, sir. He says, hi, ladies. He's talking to you, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're all mad I said that? Okay. Let's see. Okay. We're not going to air it out. Okay, that's fine. Timothy O'Hara, BYU Mountain Westbound, because I can't keep a quarterback from sexually assaulting women. Well, we don't know that he sexually assaulted anybody. But what we've said on this show about Jake Rzoff, I think his ring true. I know that's shocking. We were right. You can't have Jake Rzoff as your starting quarterback at BYU. It's as simple as that. The honor code, the church, the fundamental, the theology, all of it that makes BYU what it is, does not allow for Jake Rzoff to be their quarterback.
Yep.
So Joey B. San Marcos, Texas, because you could use a PayPal or a Venmo deal. They certainly could. Mike Smith, have not seen the money or the years for the Big Ten deal yet. Neither have I. I don't think we know the exact details on anything in this deal, but you don't need to because it's a moneymaker. Jesse Crum, coming soon. Stadium James will review how effective PayPal and Venmo work in every stadium.
I'm sure there will be a lounge that he can do a video on.
The eye patch looks like an emotionally unhinged, obsessed TDS fan made an appearance. It drives me crazy. I cannot. It doesn't make you look cool. It doesn't.
It's not funny.
It's not, because it just tells me you know nothing about football. And I'm here to joke about whatever you want, but BYU's great. Utah sucks. If the best you have is Utah sucks, you've got nothing. You've got nothing, and it drives me crazy. Jimmy Otson, Brett Yormark, pretty smart guy. As it turns out, Brett Yormark,
dude,
better than George Kliavkoff. Probably not saying much. PayPal moving their headquarters to Lubbock. Pew, pew. Is that right? I did not know that. Looks like PayPal going to get a IPF soon. Also, dude. Gumby. Alex looks a little sketchy. Okay. Yormark, the businessman, the Big 12 needs. My hope is that you have multiple 10-win teams in this league this year, which is going to be tough because there's a lot of what most of us consider to be the top of the table in Big 12 football. They're going to run into each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think you have real fundamental issues. Again, I think BYU is a great example of this. The Jake Rzoff situation really sucks. It comes at a really bad time for BYU, because he was, I think if Jake Rzoff had been able to be fully focused and in the position at BYU, I think he would have been a Heisman candidate. I've heard so many good things about his mechanical development, about in the offense for another year, like full command again. They designing offense, designing schematics specifically to fit his game. Like, he was going to have a monster year. So, and it's not that they don't have other talent. They're deep at quarterback. You don't have another Jake Rzoff on that roster. And that's, for the Big 12, that's an issue. That is an issue. Kurt Myers says you guys are freezing up. Are we freezing up? I don't think we're freezing up.
I didn't report any issues to us.
Mike Smith, who you changed your avatar again. I like it. No freezing here yet. Okay, good. Yeah, log off and log. Yeah, hey, IT guy, my computer is on fire. Okay, why don't you go ahead and just restart?
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Let's restart that computer, the one that's on.
Is you trying to plug it in, Monty?
Is it fully flamed or just it's smoking? Go ahead and restart.
And then dump some water on it and try to turn it on and see if that fixes it.
Don't you love it? No matter what's wrong with your computer. Hey, bro, did you restart that thing? Yeah, like 5 times. Well, go ahead and give it a restart again. All right.
Tell you what, I can't figure this out. Submit a new ticket. We'll get back to you in 5 business days.
Can you submit a ticket to the IT desk about this? I've never seen a computer light on fire, and you've said you've restarted it. Go ahead and submit a ticket.
Yeah.
That's what they always tell you to do. Go ahead and restart that thing, bud. Okay. John Famlor. Our university is going to be offering tax preparation help because it's going to be such a shock if these athletes need to maybe start filing taxes in multiple states. It is very interesting. The structure of this deal is not going to have them. It's not 100%, but as it's been explained to me, you're not paid per game. Like in the NFL, you get a game check. You're not paid per game in college football. So, if Utah goes to Lubbock, they're not paying taxes in Texas. Utah players won't be paying taxes in Texas. Or if, pick your matchup. If Arizona goes to Boulder,
whoever it might be.
Yeah, they're not paying, you're not paying taxes on your road games. ACC West Coast Commissioner Gumby, cash me outside. How about that? Man, do you remember that girl and how hot that for a moment that is?
And she's still online somewhere, if I remember correctly.
Oh, she is. She's on OnlyFans.
Oh, is she?
She made didn't the cash me outside girl make like I don't remember how many like multi-millions.
Some insulting amount of money
on her 18th birthday. We did that story on the show.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, she got paid. Sergeant Morhew, drunken speculation. Okay, are we talking about like vodka drunk, or are we talking about like Fireball in 100-degree heat on the golf course drunk?
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Very different things. Or are you just on a PBR binger? Because those three things are very different drunken speculation.
Like, for instance,
ESPN will partner with the Mountain West thanks to Dan Mullen's connections. Tell me SEC fans aren't interested in following his journey. Oh, I think you would have to be. I mean, you're more interested in finding the handsy wife, but
that downstairs kitty cat is not yours to have, okay?
Do you guys remember what show was that? That it was like a Hard Knock style show for Florida. And dude, she had her hands all up in their business.
It was the one they were doing on NBC for a time where they did Florida State and Liverpool. They also did Florida.
And she was just hands on the beef.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
Right? Like, awkward. But who knows? And we've talked about this at length as well. When you look at the Mountain West TV deal, I think everybody, and this is not a slight to the Mountain West, everybody is going to be on ESPN's new ESPN product, which is their direct-to-consumer. You don't need cable. You don't need Dish. You can just subscribe to ESPN and get all their programming. Right? So I think the Pac-12 will get a piece of that. I think the Mountain West will get a piece of that. But again, as we reported exclusively here on the show yesterday, and I had some interesting conversations this morning about this, I'm really trying to understand how close is the Pac-12 CBS deal to what the Mountain West had with CBS, had with CBS. I think it is very close, almost identical. I think it's very close. The Paramount Plus thing, you can't have CBS Sports Network on Paramount Plus. Like, I think it's very close. Very, very close. So we'll see. I don't even think it's drunken speculation that the Mountain West will be on the ESPN platform, because it will be. My guess is, and I'll continue to say, I think CBS in the Pac-12, it'll be CBS. I think it'll be the C-Dub. And I think it will be somebody like ESPN streaming. That's my guess. For the Mountain West, I don't know that their deal even changes that much. I don't know that it will change very much at all.
Right.
So we'll see, though. Only time will tell. Right, wrong, other. Only time will tell. All right, the Monty Show is always presented by The Advocates. You guys, today, in lieu of the tip jar for the rest of July and August, and I love that you guys tip us. It means the world to us. It pays for a lot of stuff that we do. Our equipment, we just bought new HDMI cables. Like, it pays for a lot of stuff when you guys tip us in the tip jar. But for the next 5 weeks, we are all about helping homeless kids with school supplies, basic necessities, things like clothes to go to school, things, and I'm not even kidding, socks, underwear, clothing, school supplies, pens, paper, pencils, backpacks, the things that we all take for granted because we're the 1%ers in the world. 1 in 5 kids in your community are homeless. Let that sink in. 1 in 5 kids in your community is hungry. Now take that to the next level. A homeless kid who's at the road home. Like here where we live, the road home is a homeless shelter. They do miracle work. I cannot even describe to you the yeoman's work, the thankless, invisible work that the road home does for homeless especially homeless kids. Those kids are helpless. They can quite literally helpless. They cannot help themselves. And they're either at a shelter like the Road Home or they're on the street where all kind of bad things happen. Let's help them as much as we can. And you guys, seriously, $1, $5, $1 million, anything that you have in your heart and in your wallet, I ask you, get on Venmo, Advocates Donations. Every dollar you donate to the Advocates, they're going to turn around and give that right to the Road Home. They're going to put that right back on the street to help homeless kids with the basic necessities to get them through a school day. That's what we're talking about. And I just ask you, I know we do this 3 times a year, and I know you probably feel like we beat you over the head with it. That's why I always say, when you give to us, we're going to give to you. We're going to give you Amazon gift cards. We are going to absolutely reward you for helping us to raise money for homeless kids. So I ask you, get on Venmo, make a donation, such as and like, of course, Maury Alvarez is the first one in. Monty Show kids, Big 12 finding new ways to send money. Exactly right.
Yes.
Exactly right. And Maury in not only with $10, but $15. Monty Show kids, I like the NES Game Cartridge. You need to shake it, blow in it, and spank it on the back. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, if that's what sets your world on fire,
okay.
You need to shake it, blow in it, and spank it on the back. The memo section's undefeated on this show. And I will just again say,
I don't know what we're supposed to say to that.
That is
spank it in the back.
Spank it on the back.
On the back. My bad. Sorry.
I like the NES Game Cartridge. You need to shake it, blow in it, and spank it on the back.
And just kind of scruff it and play with it when it's wet.
I mean, listen, Maury, you do what you think you need to do.
Y'all want to play.
Maury, obviously now with the spank it on the back, he's in the lead for the $50 Amazon gift card. And I say, Maury, more power to you, dude. Maury's got kids. He's a great BYU fan. He lives in Florida. I say, knock it down. Maury, you're the perfect example. Imagine if your kids didn't have clothing or think about your kid. Everybody, if you have kids, think about your kids or your grandkids or and I tell this story every year when we do this. I went to school with a kid who was homeless. He did not have money. And I found out about it in a horrifying way because he came to school without underwear on. And I don't remember how it happened, but this was like 7th grade, I think. And he got bullied for that. And I just remember I was riding my bike home with a group of friends, and he was walking around on the side of the road. And we lived in a very nice neighborhood. We lived in a little town called Lincolnshire, Illinois. And this kid did not have what he needed. And I will never forget, I asked him to come to my house. We went home, and my mom caught me giving him underwear. That's how bad I felt. And that's why I tell this story. And it was that day when my mom was talking to him that we found out he was homeless. He was living in his parents' van in a trailer park by my house. And it was the craziest thing. Like, I lived in a really nice neighborhood, and there was I remember it being a trailer park down the road, and his parents were parked there, living in that car at that moment. And it just was, I will never forget being like, what do you mean you don't have a house?
Weird thing. It's kind of like a weird.
Because you don't think about it.
Yeah,
man.
you don't expect it.
You don't think about it. So when something like that happens, so at the end of the day, what wound up happening is my mom took him to the store and we bought him a bunch of clothes. And I will never forget, it's probably weird, but I don't remember if it was like Venture or Walmart or what store it was, but I remember we bought him like 3 packs of underwear. I remember we bought him tan corduroys. And we bought him a bunch of cool t-shirts. You remember those t-shirts when we were kids? Like, I want to say one was like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I remember. I vividly remember giving him my Dominique Wilkins cartoon shirt. I had this cool caricature shirt of Dominique Wilkins dunking a basketball. And I remember giving that to him. Like, it's just one of those things that'll always stick with me. So when we do this is why I'm so passionate about it, because it's something I remember. Obviously, when something impacts your life, you remember that. And that's why when we sit here and we talk about this stuff and I say, hey, you know, my friend Gabe was homeless, right? And I probably shouldn't say his name, but now I guess I have. But my friend Gabe was homeless. And that's how I found out about it. And I will never forget how bad I felt for him, because what was happening and what I vividly remember was he was coming out of our classroom. So we had a classroom. You come out of the classroom, you turn left to go to the gym to have lunch. And we're walking down this hallway where they had these double doors to go into the gym. And I'm not even going to say that kid's name. The bully in our school was trying to pull his pants down. Like, that's how stupid kids are.
Right.
Can you imagine being Gabe? And I could not. And I am so glad that we passed him on the road riding our bikes home. So anyway, Maury says bucket of bullets, not so much. Well, probably true. Bucket of bullets is not my dad, by the way. That's my father-in-law. But, you know.
Mama Monty.
My mom, for everything, my mom was not. And my mom is troubled and whatever. My mom was a community mom. You came to my house through my sophomore year in high school. All the kids always came to my house. She always had Capri Suns. She always had fruit roll-ups. She always had, like, if you were hungry, she always fed you. She always made one of my favorite dinners my mom would make 2-3 times a week was mastacholi with red sauce. And she would have, you know, that garlic bread you put in the oven.
Yes.
We had it like 2-3 times a week, mastacholi in the blue pasta box. And we must have had 2-3 kids at my house every day. And she always had food. Whatever you needed. I never even, if I said, hey, can Keith sleep overnight? Yeah, sure. No problem. Right. Like, it just wasn't, my house was where all the kids went. We played wiffle ball in my backyard. Like, my mom let me build a baseball stadium in my backyard when I was a kid. Like a home plate. We put a tarp over it and we broke the neighbor's window. Like, we did it all. And I just will never forget telling my mom that Gabe didn't have underwear. And my mom talking to him and finding out he was homeless was just crazy. But, you know. James sent in an entry.
It's ready.
Okay. Jake's checking him. You don't have. Okay. Oak State James. Monty's kid. UCF tried to pay me to be a fan, but TCU gave me the pro rata I deserved and a hot wife included, so I had to turn the nights down.
Lie detector test determined that was a lie.
Oh,
James.
He's digging out of.
James,
for those of
I
you
don't believe you, brother.
For those of you new on the show, Oak State James is a rather notorious figure who one time said his wife was not hot.
You are not the guy.
And immediately tried to correct it. So that's what this is about. $20. I appreciate that. All right. We're up to 35. We're trying to, every day on the show, once a week, we try to raise $250 for the advocates and the road home and homeless kids. So we're off to a great start. We are at $35 now. If you have it in your heart, you have it in your wallet, I ask you, get on Venmo. It is Advocates Donations on Venmo. Whatever you literally $5, $100, whatever you have is great. Joey B. Monty had the best wiffle curveball in the neighborhood. No, dude, I could rake. My win as a kid was I could hit the ball to the moon. And I also could throw, so I was always throwing people out at the plate, which was amazing. So me and my guy Brent Zagorski played like tennis ball, baseball in this field with all the kids. He was always the pitcher. I was always in the outfield, and we were always hosing dudes. It was amazing. It was so amazing. I am telling you, it is. Yeah. All right, let's get in. Maury Alvarez already in the lead with that great donation comment. Exactly right. Wasikowski, Sac State, Montana State, North Dakota State going to the Pac-12. No, Sac State. Sac State lost today. Sac State, if you guys remember, Sac State wanted to go FBS in 2026. And they will not be allowed to do that. And it is a huge loss for Sac State because now we're going to wind up in court, which I think is just such BS. It is really unfortunate that Sac State will not be allowed to be FBS this next year. Like I think it's one of the most damaging decisions where common sense clearly should have prevailed. Why do we care if Sac State wants to be an FBS independent in football? Why does anybody care? I don't understand it. And if somebody wants to explain it to me, I'm all ears. But it is wild to me that here we are again with Sac State making a massive financial commitment, facilities, humanity, infrastructure, doing it the right way, hiring good people, great athletic director, great president, great staff, great educators. Now we're not going to let you be an FBS independent. Kick rocks. Why? What like on what earth does it make sense to tell Sacramento State they can't do this? I don't understand it. And their folks are pissed off, as they should be. The president at Sac State's a guy named Dr. Luke Wood, who we've asked on the show a million times. Sacramento State has met every meaningful benchmark for FBS membership, and we believe our university, our students, and the entire Sacramento region deserve major college football. We're full steam ahead, and we still plan on playing FBS football in 2026. Why would you prevent them from doing that? If anybody wants to help me understand that, because I honest to God, I don't get it.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense at all, even a little bit.
I just am. I'm perplexed by it. It just is. It's crazy.
And if you want to have a conversation about, allowing them to go FBS and then how that's going to impact things, okay, that's fine.
But they've more than exceeded the level that you need. The rule is you have to have an invitation from an FBS conference to be elevated into FBS stature. And they don't have an invitation from an FBS conference. So they went independent. And where are they going? The Big West, I think it is now, but the Big West doesn't have football. Sac State is going to be in every sport in the Big West. Football is an independent. And they're like, we're the NCAA. We're going to make the wrong decision as usual. So why don't you guys go ahead over there in the corner and kick some rocks? Good luck. Like that's essentially what the NCAA
worked
said.
That way.
And I can't for the life of me understand. And if you've got insight into it, please feel free to comment. I will not for the life of me understand why you would say to Sacramento State, no, you cannot be an FBS independent. Why? Are you saying they can't schedule? Well, that's not your problem. Are you saying they're not going to make money? That's not your problem. They have shown you they have business acumen. They know what they're doing. They know how to do the job. So let them do the job. It just makes no sense. So what are we going to do now? We're going to pay more lawyers because that's what we do. We litigate. We absolutely litigate.
Yes.
And I just will say, I do not understand it. And I'm telling you guys, having lived in Sacramento, having spent professional time there as a journalist and a sports talk radio host, having lived in the Bay Area, the Sacramento region they're well-heeled. They've got a ton of money. They've got a ton of business, a ton of industry, great humanity. It's everything you want to be in business with. Unless it just isn't by the letter of the law of the rule book and we're just not willing to do common sense things.
Nope.
That's what this feels like to me. And I'll just never understand. Yeah, dude, I'm not even joking. Sac State could easily become, it's not going to be in the short term because, again, the hill to climb, as we've seen, no better example, Utah to the Pac-12, that takes time, right? And I just don't, I don't know. I guess I'm not smart enough. I don't know. I guess I just don't get it. Timothy O'Hara, why would you want to talk about glorified street ball draft? NBA suck. No, it doesn't. NBA is fantastic. This Austin Reeves story with the Lakers, that does not suck.
No, it does not.
That does not suck in any way, shape, or form.
I think people don't like the NBA draft because you just don't pay enough attention to college players. You don't know, you don't understand this whole concept around Ace Bailey. You don't understand now that it's being reported on X 3 minutes ago that Ace Bailey allegedly told 2 teams in the top 5 he wouldn't report to camp if they drafted him. Like there's news there, dude. That there's good stuff there.
I don't know what the Jazz were thinking.